Welcome, I'm Brad Fain, and this is another edition of Living a Good Life. And we'd like to thank all our viewers for tuning in. Today we're visiting with Barbe, restaurant extraordinaire. El Gato Azul, Torme are two of your concepts that are here today, but you have many more.
Right.
Why don't you just introduce yourself and a little bit about your background?
Well, let's see. Well, we've been in Prescott now for 25 years. And over that course of time, we have really immersed ourselves into the community, specifically in the restaurant world, but also in the nonprofit, arts and culture, and really the community itself. So we started off, I came to town working at Zuma's. I was the general manager there. Zuma's Woodfire Cafe right there at 224, whatever it was, right down on North Montezuma. And then shortly after that, I opened my first place, which is Belvedere's. And Belvedere's was a country French bistro, really small, intimate, fun, unique. At that time, completely different than anything else that was taking place in town. And then I moved on from that to an American 129 half an American Jazz Grill. Loved it. It was something I wanted to do for years.
I remember that place.
Yeah,
that was great. Just a little walk in, tight, dark.
Yeah, it felt like a jazz club.
Yeah.
And so I loved that. And then more opportunities came along, and I created a management company, and we opened 4 other restaurants over the period of actually less than 2 years.
Wow.
And so things were kind of progressing and going and rolling. The creative aspect of it and just that energy of, I love that.
Okay.
That's what I thrive on. Not everybody that works with me thrives on that. So you have to have some balance with other people that work with you. And so, over the course of time, we changed our direction a little bit. We have El Gato Azul currently, which we've had for 19 years.
Wow.
And
Has it been that long?
It's been 19 years. Isn't that nuts? I know.
I mean, we enjoy it. My wife loves to go there. We love the tapas, the small plates, because she doesn't like to eat that much. So this is perfect. I can order 1 or 2. Just stop when you're ready to stop.
Yeah.
19 years.
19 years.
In that spot.
In that spot. Yeah, it's shocking.
What a great little spot, though. So
it's one of those things that really just, when the space came open, we looked at it, and we had been looking at a larger space to do the similar concept. And I couldn't get the feel for it. I didn't like it just didn't flow. And this space came up, and it was smaller. It was something I could manage on my own. If everybody quit, if I upset everybody and they all walked out the door, I could run the space by myself with myself and my kids who were like 12 and 13 then.
Nice.
You are now working. You were the busser. You're the host. And so then did that for quite a while. And then we have a catering company. We've had that for several years, about 20 years on that. And then I decided I was going to do my last hurrah. I was going to do one last restaurant, and I was going to be the place I was going to hang out, and I was going to be there every day, and you were going to walk in and I say, hey, Brad, how are you? Let me make you something, because that's the stuff I love.
Okay.
I love knowing you, and we had a couple in last night, the Pools. They've been customers of ours for probably 20 some years. And when they moved to town, they started following us, so to speak. They were in last Tuesday. I said, we're coming next Tuesday for our anniversary. I said, can I make you something? Well, fish, seafood, chicken, beef, what would you like? She would like seafood, he would like the chicken, the beef. So they came in last night, took them out to dinner. Love it. That is just, I love stuff like that.
Wow.
Because you don't get to see that anymore. You don't see that kind of that personal, full service dining that we grew up with, as far as that goes. And so then that was at Torme, which we opened about 4 months ago. So
how
Torme,
great to create an experience like that, to not only be able to do it, but want to do it, to want to create that experience for people coming in.
Well, there is a thing for me is that we wouldn't be here if you weren't sitting in the seat. If you weren't coming in, and for a customer that comes in on a very regular basis for over 20 years, between all the multiple restaurants I've had, that to me is, I feel such an obligation and an appreciation to it that's just, it's not even something I think about. It's like, hey, let's do this.
How fun.
And then the cool thing is that the table sitting next to one, what are they getting to eat? After 20 years, you get the...
Here's the pathway.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to ask, because you talked about El Gato and the space that came up, and then Torme was going to be your grand finale and the hangout spot. So when you're thinking of design and the community, you're living in Prescott 20 years, Does the location drive the design and the concept you want to bring, or do you get a concept in mind and then go find a space for it?
Well, it kind of depends because it changes on both things. It's kind of like if you're a painter, are you going to do pastel, are you going to do oils, are you going to do acrylics, and are you going to do outdoor? It's kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. We all think alike. We have that same. There's something about the creative mind that something will come along and just pings and it sticks.
Okay.
When I look at a property, like when we want to do Torme, originally it was supposed to be more of a European. Well, actually, originally it was really going to be really casual, and then I went more European. So I want to have fun. I want to do quiche. I want to do, I want to do. I can't remember the other things I want to do, but there were other stuff. But I really want to do something that was open for everybody. And then I kind of looked and I'm going, my background, my first job was really an Italian restaurant, both of them. Then the first one out of culinary school was at an Italian restaurant. I went every day, made the pasta. I knew that really good, and I had an affinity for it. I knew I had knowledge for it. I knew it was something that I could teach you how to do.
Okay.
And so we started looking for, that was kind of what I wanted to do, like an Italian steakhouse. And so it took us about 18 months to find a space. And we went into that space, which is really small. Mm-hmm. And Deb Batita at the time was my broker. And we went in and I looked at it and it was just like, oh my God, geez, oh my God. I kind of look around and get a little more, I don't know. And then I went outside and I saw the patio. Then I saw the back buildings. Then I saw the other patio. Then it's right by the creek. And I literally went back in the restaurant and I called my wife. I said, you need to come down here and talk me out of this. And she's like, so she came down and said, this is exactly what you love. These little small, quirky little spaces that you can work out of and turn into something incredible. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the exact same thing when we did 120 half. Yeah. 120 half was it was basically a basement almost. The first floor, unattractive, long, narrow space in an old derelict hotel.
Yeah.
And we go, there's so many, it's the bones of it are there, the character is there. You get a big box sometimes, like, how do I fill this big box? Mm-hmm. But you get a smaller space or something that's a little quirky, that I can work with. That would be really cool. I see the Godfather table there, I see this over here, and then the open kitchen. And you just kind of start going with it little by little. But we literally designed that space. We did the walkthrough, and probably within 45 minutes, we're like, bar's gonna go here, we're doing this, we're taking this window out, we really had the whole layout done probably within a day.
Wow.
And then we had some structural guys come through and say, can you do this, can you do that? And then how much it's gonna cost. And but I think it really depends. It's really different. It's kind of like what I do with my chefs and my kitchen staff. I'll ask you to make you want to do the feature for tomorrow? Okay, yeah. What do you want me to do? Here's a mango. Develop a dish around a mango. What goes with mango? And it gets your mind thinking. Okay. Here's an avocado. Okay. Sometimes everyone starts with the center of the plate, but it's much more interesting if you start with the extras or the add-ons or the sauce. Okay. I've got this great sauce. So it's the same thing with design of a restaurant or a residential space or a garden, I would think. You start with what's the most interesting. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer, her thing is, if you can't fix it, feature it.
Yep.
So if you've got
that statement,
if you got this column in the middle of the room you can't move, I got to feature that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at your industry and specifically what you do, because you do it differently than a lot of others, there's a lot of creative people in town. You have quite the following. I mean, it's known. There's the little old gals that follow Barry around. There's this
They're
group
not
that
all
follows.
little old gals, and the ones that are though, they're very sweet.
They are.
They're very nice.
And they're very loyal.
They're very loyal.
They're very passionate
They'll
about what you do.
In a heartbeat. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's great what you've created. So describe how that fits into when you think of like the fabric of a community, which is really part of the design of a community. How is what you're doing adding to that and filling that need that a community must have to kind of round it out?
Well, that's interesting, because that is where the whole concept for El Gato came along. Tapas are meant to be shared family style. Okay. I grew up 7 people in our family, 5 kids, my mom and dad, and we had dinner at 4 o'clock. We had breakfast every day. We had Sunday breakfast. We had Sunday dinner. Our grandma's on, Thanksgiving, Easter, blah 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 blah, whatever. I grew up with that. That is part of my adolescence all the way
Okay.
through adulthood. To the point where I was in college, there was like 5 of us we rented a house. I said, hey guys, dinner's ready. I'm going, it's only 4 o'clock. I said, no, it's time to eat. You know?
This is what we do.
This is what we do. You know, and so I think that, so the idea with the tapas was really to create a situation where you do build community. This conversation around food. Instead of sitting eating one plate of spaghetti and you're having something over here, you're sharing, I'm having a little bit of yours, you're having some of mine. It's kind of like your wife said, you know? And then what happens is, especially at El Gato, you're looking at the table next to you, go, hey, what are you having? And now they're talking about, oh, we're from New Mexico. Oh, we're from California. Oh, we're from Ohio. Oh, you're from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. My mom's from Ohio. What about, you know? So that's part of dining is really, I think that the challenge is right now, in case you can't tell, I'm really 100% behind traditional full service dining. And I think what's happened in our culture, and this is one of the breakdowns, in my opinion, when you say community, is that we've gotten to the point where everything is so convenience based and so either automated or whatever else, that we've lost that ability and that to communicate and connect, you know? And I think that with what we do, we're also very involved in the community itself. And we're very conscious of that and very aware of that. And there is I was going to say something, I can't remember what it was now. I completely went a blank right there. But anyways.
Well, I'll
You have me back?
No, I don't know where you were going. I can't help you there. I can't predict the future. But when you were speaking there, I was thinking of like one of the things that Michelle and I noticed that's missing is just the speed at which everything wants to happen.
Right.
And when we go out, like if I need a quick meal, go get a quick meal. Go to a takeout place or do something. But when I sit down, I want to enjoy it. And it's so interesting that the staff will come up to you and say, oh, can I get your drink order? You ready to order? You ready to go? And I'm like, and sometimes your food comes out with your drink, and I just hate that. I was like, no, let me order what I want to drink. Give me an iced tea, depending on the meal, and let's just sit and relax a minute, and then we'll order. And I love it when the meal is just paced so that you can have a conversation.
Right.
And I think that really is missing. There's so many where they just bring it all out, and it's kind of like wheelbarrow it in, eat, and then get you out because I want to turn a table.
Right.
And that is missing.
But and that's part of our culture in general.
Yeah.
You remember dial-up. You know what I mean? And now if something doesn't instantaneous, that page doesn't come up, or you know, we've become so spoiled and entitled, and we don't take the time, I think, to appreciate just whoever you're sitting and dining with.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think there is a difference. There's a place for all of these styles of dining. There definitely is a place, and you can have the choice. I'm going to something quick and easy. I'm going to go here. Yeah. If I want something a little more, but what does happen is you, as a customer, tend to come in, and you do want it. Not everybody is you.
That's right.
You know?
Well, and sometimes it depends on what's happening. Sometimes you need a quick meal.
Right.
Right. Or your stage in life. Like you got a family. Like I just got to get my kids fed and out of here before they destroy the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get this moving.
Yeah.
I've been there before too.
You know, but I think that, you know, part of that is what I like about the full service for us is it allows us time to get to know you. And that's why when we decided to do Tourmet, we intentionally did it Monday through Friday. Because I wanted to make sure that we focus on the locals. Not that I don't want everybody else to not feel welcome, but I knew that in order to have that type of style of service, what I wanted when, you know, Jim and Doris Poole come in for the anniversary, I want to be able to make sure that my staff knows them. You walk in, they don't just know you, but you know, hey, you know, there's Zach and there's Courtney and, you know, that type of thing. And so we're really trying, and I think those dining experiences are missing. Where you used to go, you know, out to eat with your family 30, 40 years ago when you were 12, 14, 15, maybe 40, 50 years ago. But anyways, sorry, couldn't resist.
It's all right.
But, you know, we used to do that. Yeah. And you would go and everyone knew you. And it was like, you know, your neighbor walked in, and that's what we're trying to create with Tourmet. We have that at Gato, and we can see that now as over the years, as the popularity has continued to grow, and it's kind of morphing a little bit. You know, so we're trying now with Tourmet to get really back to that sense of community and family.
Where I go with that is memories. When you're able to do what you're trying to create, it creates memories. I have a memory when I was a child. My parents and my uncle They used to love to go to a place in Prescott called The Other Place
Oh yeah.
with Kronauer.
Yep.
And just, bigger than life chef, owner of a restaurant, very opinionated about what he did. And I had this one evening, I had this memory where in there eating, and somebody asked for either ketchup or steak sauce. And they went back to the kitchen to get it, and oh my God, you could hear yelling. What was it? And he comes out, and he it's a small place. He's
Right,
like,
oh, yeah.
who ordered this?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like our table. It was like, everybody's like, oh shoot, this is like, but I have that memory.
Yeah.
And it's that connection, right? And then he
Right.
came over, and of course he knew my folks, knew my uncle. They were all good friends,
Right.
and so it was all okay. But
Right.
it's just fun when you have that connection, and you can do that,
Right,
create that
exactly.
memory.
Yeah.
Because here I am, however many years later, decades later,
still
still
remember?
remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember also. I mean, and I think that's, and that is, there are opportunities for all of us. Whether it doesn't have to be at a restaurant.
Yeah.
When we look at what happened in 2020, we all lost. I think we are at. My concern is that we have lost, and we are not comfortable interacting with people anymore like we were 2-3 years ago, because we created this barrier of no one's fault. But what happened was, you were either on this side or that side. That's one part of it. But the other part is just, we didn't see people.
Yeah.
And so we came up with alternate ways of having meetings, Zoom and things like that. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't do this. And I think it's going to take us a while to get back to, and it's going to really take people making the effort. I did an article for the Courier a couple weeks ago, and it mentioned on things remember when. And mine was being out in the front yard with a friend of mine, waiting for the mailman to come by, because the mail came every day at the same time, and blah blah blah. And you would get a Christmas card, or might get a birthday card. You would get maybe Sea Monkeys or Boy's Life, or something. That doesn't happen anymore. The mail that you get at your home is primarily either bills or political pieces or
Junk mail.
Yep. So taking that effort of actually writing a letter to somebody, say, hey, I was thinking about you today, blah blah blah. Those are little steps that we can do to kind of reconnect with people. And I think we've the last couple of years, I think we lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's even more important that, when we do go out, you make sure that I was talking with someone the other day, the thing about Prescott, it's still the same place. You just have to put your eyes up and say hello.
Yeah, it really is.
Just say hello to one person, that's all it takes.
So let's shift a little bit. So we've been talking about what you've been doing, what you have done, and what goes into all that. So you were featured as one of many great talents in Taste of Arizona.
There, by the way.
Yeah, no, there really are. So I was reading through this, and I got to your page, and as I got to the end of your story of you telling about what you've done, you kind of give a nod to the future, and you talk about maybe Prescott Valley. So you are coming to Prescott Valley.
We are coming to Prescott Valley, yes.
And you're coming in a big way.
Yeah, we're coming in a big way.
So I want to talk to you, how does Prescott Valley fit into your Barbe Brad's big plan? And talk to us a little bit about the creation of this new concept you have coming into Prescott Valley.
Well, the funny thing is, as I mentioned before we went on, is that about when did the entertainment district get built? When did that start?
Just about 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, 20 years ago,
2002.
Your brother and I were sitting in my restaurant at Belvedere's, and there was a possibility of us doing a space right here where Gabby's is. We were going to take that space. We had looked at it. And so that's how long we've been considering going to Prescott Valley.
So you're not a quick decision maker.
No, well, not
all right,
in this.
so just
well, no. Generally speaking, I am a person. Generally, very quick. Don't ask my wife about that either. But anyway, so we've been considering it for quite some time. We knew it was on the radar, but we got focused on, not just focused. We had opportunities that came up in Prescott. I love Prescott. I just, there's so much about it that I love. The whole area, I just really enjoy. I live 985 steps from my front door of my restaurant. I can't complain about that. And so we looked at a couple different, but we knew that if we were going to come to Prescott Valley, I had to be in the right place personally. My kids are older. They're all in college or out of college almost. I knew professionally I had to be kind of a little more mature. And I need to have a really solid team behind me in order to make that happen. We've considered a couple times, and there wasn't really the right project. Then when Anessa contacted us a little over a year ago, we went into it kind of, I've been doing some consulting for restaurants and other people, and we really went into it just as kind of a, sure, I'll give you some ideas type thing.
Sure.
And then lo and behold, here a year later, we're doing 3 concepts in one building in less than 2 years. Yeah. So, but the other thing is that Prescott Valley, the whole area has changed so much. And I think that you have a great, there's some really good operators in Prescott Valley already.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to come into an established area, it's kind of like the idea of a food court in a mall. The more options there are to eat, you got Chinese, you got burgers, you got Dairy Queen, that's better for everybody that's in the group.
Yep.
So you kind of have a good core group of operators out here, and they're consistent, and they're busy. So I think right now for us, is from a timing standpoint, it's a great time to do it. And then with this opportunity, I think what you're doing over there at Legato is just, I think it's so unique, and I love the fact that it's so community based, and not just on the community on the whole, but also you're creating this little microcosm community that is going to go out into the community and make it all just that much more appealing, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, we're really going out with that one. So we'll.
Yeah, you are.
It's a big step for us as a group to build a product like that. We had great success with Homestead, and this one is kind of like a notch bigger. I mean, it's
Right.
50% bigger than Homestead, and we have the commercial aspect and the restaurants tied to it. But talk about, like, how did you come up with, and you got 3 concepts. So you got 44,
The 44,
which
is
is going to
rooftop.
full service rooftop restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and then you created the cafe,
Correct.
and then the arcade.
Correct.
So talk to us about why 3 concepts, how did you come up with this, and how do you see it flowing from an operator standpoint, and I guess connecting with the community?
Well, the great thing about that space is you have the ability to do not just 3 concepts, but address 3 different market segments
Okay.
in one location. The top floor being 44, it's going to be a fairly traditional, i.e., although contemporary steakhouse, with an ode to the past, but looking forward, so to speak. We've got the outdoor patio. I kind of look at that as, that's kind of like where I would go have a cocktail, nice, comfortable pub chairs. Somebody else can go meet with business guys, women, whatever. That's kind of where I feel that part of it is the lounge.
Okay.
You've got this dining room that overlooks, has an incredible view, and it's really, you can fit 3 different segments right in that one area. Because then you've got the outdoor patio, open.
So are you going to change it up because you're talking about what you've done, quirky spaces,
Right.
rather than big boxes? This is kind of a big space.
Right.
So are you going to intentionally break it up so it kind of gives that nod to those spaces that you like so much?
No, I think we're going to create those without walls.
Okay.
So we have the open kitchen, so you have action going on all the time. You have the formal, or not so formal, but more of a traditional dining area.
Sit down, wait staff.
Sit down, wait staff. Nice wine list, white linen, maybe black linen, I don't know, but I'm assuming linen. And then you have the more casual seating over here in the lounge.
Okay.
And then you got the patio. So, it's going to be, I think we can create that. My goal is to create that through one use of, and this is where she comes in, Jennifer Garber, is creating these different areas through use of color, texture, lighting, and then we'll have somewhat different menus in the different areas. Of something a little more pubby, casual in the lounge, but still nice upscale. And then the outdoor patio, I think, is going to be a huge, just a place, a gathering place.
Yeah.
I think once upon a time there's a possibility of talking about pool tables. Well, there's no pool tables, but we're going to create that kind of relaxed, casual atmosphere out there.
Okay.
So, and then you go from the rooftop, and that'll seat, I think we got about 75 seats up there total, not counting the patio. And as you come down the 2 sides, what I want to do was, because there is such a strong demand for convenience, to-go food, delivery, that type of thing. What we've done is we've taken the top floor, and through an elevator down to the first floor, we have what's called the market. So the market is where if you want to order food from 44 to go, Instead of going up the elevator, waiting in line, find the host, your food will be delivered downstairs at the market, and you can pick your food up there.
Very nice.
And we're also going to have some convenience products there as far as pre-made foods that you can take and heat at home, some
nice.
salads, some nice gourmet items for cooking at home. There'll be a small dining area there, maybe that's 6 or 8 people. Just if you want to grab a sandwich and have a soda or whatever. Fresh flowers, wine, bread, that type of thing, a little bakery-esque type of thing. So that's really that's another segment. So that's the person that's living in one of the apartments and they would love to go to the restaurant, but they don't have the time, or we're just looking for a quick bite to take home. Stop right there.
They don't want to dress up. They just want to
Exactly.
grab something and stay in their sweats and go locking themselves in their room and watch TV. And
Perfect.
so it's kind of in your design, you're designing to reach a part of the community that we know is so essential based on the last couple of years of our experience.
Exactly.
Right, those people who were able to connect, and I know you guys did an amazing job at El Gato Azul, kind of transforming your restaurant to a takeout restaurant.
Right, exactly.
Overnight, you're like, we've got to start doing takeout.
Exactly.
And so now you're putting that into your design,
Right.
so it'll be there for that portion of the community that just chooses to eat at home.
Yeah, and it's also going to be like kind of a nice convenience place where I need something you don't find in town, like a weird spice or something obscure, or find something like, oh, that's kind of fun, I should try that. And so then you go down to where the opening is, going into the parking garage, is we're going to have the arcade. The arcade originally started the idea was more of a gastropub, and I've kind of calmed it down from gastropub because gastropub has it's really more of a cocktail heavy menu. And so we're doing probably 24 draft beers, wine, that type of thing, no hard alcohol on the first floor. But that's going to really target another demographic. That's going to be in 20s, 40s. These are the guys that they're going to a show over at Tim's. They're going to stop, have a beer or a pizza or a sandwich or a bruschetta board, a bottle of wine before they go over, or they might stop after. Or you might go, hey, I'm down at the entertainment district, come around the corner, meet me at the arcade. In the arcade, it's funny because I've only had one person so far ask me, arcade, that's a weird name. It's not really been one person, it's been more than one. But anyways.
We'll say with one, that's good enough. At least one.
At least one. So arcade really, it's much, people think about games, kids going to arcade playing. This is kind of like my adult version of an arcade.
Okay.
It's kind of where you're going to go meet. It's like when you used to go to the roller rink, or when you used to go, let's go play basketball down the square, whatever. But also arcade it also means a tunnel. So this is the entrance into the parking garage and the entrance into 44. So you can meet downstairs at the arcade, have a beer, glass of wine while you're waiting for your table upstairs at 44, take the elevator up, and now you have 2 completely different experiences in a matter of 30 minutes.
So would you say the arcade is a place where people can start their evening or end their evening?
They can start, end, or they can complete it all right there. It's going to be a full service menu. It's going to be lighter fare than what we're doing upstairs, and a little more cafe-esque than what we're doing upstairs. I'm considering it to be just a less formal or more casual experience than what you would get upstairs.
Okay, and then you have lots of beers.
Lots of beer.
So people will want to know: are the beers you're gonna feature like local beers and try to have that flair to it, or how do you select your beers for?
Well, I think with 24, we have a pretty good
broad selection.
Broad selection.
Yeah.
We'll obviously focus mostly on microbrews but almost everything's a microbrew. I feel like anymore. There's
a big push for it, isn't there?
Yeah, and then a lot of the big companies bought the microbrews anyways. But there's some good Arizona beers. Some really local guys. You got Lazy Gio does a great product. And some other guys. Wren House is another local guy that we probably use. So we definitely would focus on that primarily, I think, start with. And then you have to have the things that certain people want. You have to have a Coors Light.
Yep. No, my oldest brother is like
Bud Light.
Coors Light.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. They know what they like and they stay right in their lane.
Yeah. So I think the whole thing is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, because basically the 6th floor really supports the 2 down below and vice versa. So this is where the majority of the prep and things will be done, and the food coming down to the marketplace as well as to the arcade. The arcade will have its own kitchen, primarily a cold kitchen limited hot items down there. Great outdoor space. We'll have about probably 60 seats outside in a little open area. So
Nice.
yeah.
So 3 concepts coming to Prescott Valley
All at the same time.
all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Doesn't keep you up at night?
Nope,
You're
not yet.
Everything's
oh, yes,
good?
it does. Yeah. No. Every once in a while, I kind of go like, really? What was I? What?
How did we walk
It
into
sounded like-
how did we walk into 3
It
concepts?
sounded like such a good idea, you know? You get married, then all of a sudden you have 4 kids. You go, what?
It sounded like a good idea.
It sounded like a great idea.
The process was fun
Oh, yeah,
anyways.
exactly,
So
anyways,
So we talked about what you've been doing, your past a little bit, what you're doing in Prescott. We talked about the future coming to Prescott Valley. Anything else on the horizon for Barry Barb?
no, not for a while. No, we're
Got
just
your hands full?
we are so blessed. I mean, even during our downtimes, we were blessed. I mean, we have learned. This has been the biggest learning experience. The last 20-some years of my life being here, I always consider myself kind of a late bloomer. I didn't really feel like I kind of got my legs until my early 30s. I really felt like that's where I kind of. And my daughter made the same thing the other day. She's in her mid-20s, and she said, "I've decided that by the time I'm 30, that's my goal. I will know who I'm going to be and what I'm going to be by the time." And it's great.
Yeah.
But for me, it kind of happened by default, and I didn't realize until then. Okay, and so this period of time we've been in Prescott is the support. It has been a blessing beyond belief as far as that goes, and we've got some loyal. Boy, we got some.
You do.
You don't even mess with those little ladies.
No, isn't that the goals, to have that kind of a following that people just really are passionate about what you do and can't wait for the next thing?
Oh yeah.
Even if it's just a seasonal, I wonder what he's going to do this Christmas at the restaurant.
Well,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, they
The
get excited
flamingos,
about it.
They're
Yeah.
already asking me, but see, the thing is, I think though, what we do is because each concept is different, but the base of each concept is the same. It's always fresh. It's always prepared in house. It's always scratch kitchen. Nothing comes in as a prepared frozen product. Our staff is respectful and polite. The deal was from the very beginning when we had young kids. When my kid walks in that kitchen, I don't want him to hear something he's not going to hear at home, and that kind of sets the tone. And we've never had a problem with staffing at all. Even through 2020, except for when everybody got sick, but literally we're full operation. We opened a new restaurant. We're doing another one. We have a full catering company. And I think that our staff everyone I hire, if 9 times out of 10 is referred by one of our other employees. Very seldom we hire somebody off the street that we just absolutely do not know at all. And so the thing is, okay, I'll hire Billy, but if Billy's not good, you're fired. Are you okay with that? Okay, maybe don't hire Billy. You know what I mean? But they've got this sense, and they take care of themselves.
They got a sense of ownership.
They got a sense of ownership.
Process.
And that's like when we did Tourmet, because we thought it was going to be 90 days to opening. It took 9 months. My whole kitchen crew has been with me for the last year and a half now.
Wow.
And we've only been open 4 months.
Waiting for it to get
But
there.
they know everything, and they had input on dishes, and would try something. They said, well, let's try this with this. Let's try a little rosemary. Let's do a cream sauce with this. Let's try this. And so everyone in the kitchen knows how to make everything that's on that menu, and they were involved in some way, shape, or form from the very beginning. So,
one of the things I like that you talked about is your engagement with the community. You do a lot with the arts and the nonprofits and staying engaged. And I think with that, we talk about it a lot at our company, is it's kind of being in business for a higher purpose. It's not, you've got to do the blocking and tackling. You got to have a good product. You got to be efficient. You got to make a profit, right? If you don't make a profit, it doesn't last very long. But beyond that, once you get that mastered, then it's about just kind of the good of the community.
right.
Like, we can do this, and we can help this organization out over here, or we can cater for them and help them get where they want to go. And I think that is such an important part that some companies just miss today. But
Right.
I think it's so important that we need it more today than we have in the past, because maybe it's because we're all just glued to our phones and looking down, and we're not looking up. That
Right.
we've got to connect with the community at a higher level.
Right. I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think also it is. I think it's also generational. I think there's been there's a change in literally how families behaved and interacted 40 years ago as opposed to 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And there's, that sense of what we experienced, because I'm assuming I'm maybe just 10 years younger than you or something like that, right?
Maybe
Yes.
10. Not more than 15.
Not more than 15, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference in what we experienced growing up. And I was a small town, you were a small town. Mm-hmm. We grew up where we knew our neighbors. We had dinner at our relatives. We had family reunions. Now everybody lives all over the country.
Yep.
You might have one family and only one person lives in that town, and everybody else is, somebody in Europe. You got somebody, East Coast, West Coast. So I think that, and that's why I think I really believe that food in general it's family, it's community. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. It's nourishment for your body, but it really is about connecting with other people. And that's why what you're doing over there is the same thing. I think that's I love the idea. It's almost like a quad, like a college quad in some ways. Mm-hmm. But I was raised that you go shovel Mrs. Smith's snow out of her driveway.
Go down the street and help them out.
Yeah, we took, I tell a story all the time. We did, my dad, we were by no means, affluent people, but my dad would make boxes of fruit, probably 20 or 30 fruit boxes with nuts and cookies and whatever else you can think of. Yeah. And those went out to all the shut-ins. That's just how we grew up.
I think as our communities got bigger and bigger, the big cities, we lost that connection that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And when I grew up, it was the most frustrating part, but it was also, I look back on it saying, that was really a cool part because everybody, I know who you are, I know who you're connected to. And,
right.
and when you're young and you see that, you think of it as like, I can't get away.
Right.
Everybody knows what I'm doing. But really, it was a community looking out for each other.
Right.
And like, I know you. You're running around, and if you're hurt, they're gonna step in and help you.
Exactly.
And that is what I think we're losing.
Well,
what I hear you're kind of connecting back. We got to get back to that, and part of it is around the dinner table.
And it's also there are so many ways that you can connect mm-hmm. that cost you nothing except for maybe a couple hours. Join the Lions Club or something like that. Help on the papers to. Mm-hmm. Go down to one of the food banks, go down to the community cupboard. There's so many ways that you volunteer as an usher at, PCA or, one of the local theaters. You get watch a show for free and you get to see people, and that's really those little things that cost absolutely nothing. Because I think a lot of times people feel that in order to make a difference, I have to have a big checkbook.
Yep.
It's absolutely not true at all.
Just have to have time.
You just have to have time.
Yeah.
And be willing to, like I said, look up from your phone, look up from the sidewalk.
And I think the interesting thing is we can look at your success and all the different things you're doing, and there's always time to connect with people.
Right.
And I think we've got to get out of that story of I don't have time.
Right.
You do have time. You just got to prioritize it and put it in the right perspective so you can make time for what's important.
Right. I agree with you. And I think like I said earlier before you came on, there's an obligation, and I don't put this out there. Willy-nilly as far as that goes, but I feel there's an obligation with your success of anybody. If you have a successful business or career, whatever you have a platform, just because of your visibility. It's how you choose to use that platform that's really going to define who you are as a person. Your success of a business owner means you have a successful business. If you're successful within your community and making a difference, and someone goes like, that's your sign of success. That's what defines who you are.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And I think it's, I say it all the time, and I think there are a lot of guys, there are a lot of people that step up. There's everybody. Prescott and Prescott Valley both are very take care of each other communities. Mm-hmm. But I think every once in a while we need to remind ourselves, hey.
We can't forget where we came from. We can't forget as a community.
Right.
Prescott Valley was always, as I was growing up, it was kind of always the workforce for Prescott or the blue collar town. They had a lot of names for it, but a lot of people lived in Prescott Valley and worked in Prescott because there wasn't a place to work out here. Mm-hmm. And from that came hardworking folks, salt of the earth folks, mm-hmm. people that would stop and help you out if you needed help. They were just that kind of caring person, and Prescott has that as well.
Right.
And I think as we grow and mature as two communities, we can't forget that. We can't forget where we came from and be looking to change, like, oh, we got this new thing we're doing. No, we're not trying to change the community. We're trying to add to it.
Right.
Remember where we came from, remember who we were and who we are, and add to it. Don't erase it and move forward.
Right.
And I think that's a challenge that we face with, because we have such a large influence from outside.
Right.
Those folks that move here don't know that history.
Right.
So we need to do a good job of sharing that with them so that they can embrace it. And then as they bring in their new experiences to us, we can grow with it.
Right. I think you're absolutely right, and it's kind of the core Midwestern values that you have in Prescott Valley, and I look at applications like, where are they from? I won't say which ones I don't look at, but I'm like, what? Ohio, Illinois, and oh my gosh, I want to talk to that kid, because generally speaking, I know how they were raised, what their atmosphere was when they grew up and their experiences were, and there's so many the opportunities between here, what's going out in Chino, and all. It's just. I think that what I think Prescott Valley has done really well at is their planning. When I first moved out here, I felt like I didn't really know what Prescott Valley was. You were the one stoplight between Cordis Junction and Prescott.
At one point, it was one stoplight.
Yeah, I think it was one.
People won't believe you.
Oh, I know. But I think there is a need to, as we grow, yes, recognize the past. Welcome your new people, or those, because everybody has something to add to the community.
Yes.
I mean, everybody does.
They got to come together.
Yeah.
You can't have one or the other. You need to have both.
Right.
That's how we grow. We honor what we were and what's here, and then these new experiences come in, new people, and we kind of merge them together, and we get new experiences.
There you go.
So, when will 44 open? Do you have a...
Well, that's up to you.
Why is it up to me?
I know. No. Well, the plan is I think the plan is July of 2026 or 25.
No. Maybe
it's 2 years from now.
Maybe 24.
No, it's 24. I gotta get to work.
2 years from now is 2024.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh really? Is it?
It's still 2023.
Oh well, sorry. All right, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I got a lot of work to do.
Maybe summer of 22.
No, I think
winter of 23. Somewhere.
I think we'll be seeing it. I think it's going to be really, when it does happen. It doesn't matter when it does. I guess I'd rather sooner than later, as long as we're ready for it.
Yeah.
But I think for what you already have going on in Prescott Valley, it's going to be a great addition. I'm really excited about that. I think it can really augment everything else that's going on. I'm really excited. What I love about what we do in Prescott, when we came to town, nobody talked to anybody. If you owned a restaurant, that was your restaurant, and there was a restaurant next to you that was burning down, that restaurant could probably just burn down and you wouldn't leave yours. I mean, literally, that's how bad it was.
Wow.
Nobody talked to anybody. And there were rifts and there was competition, and and we came in, I came in, and this young kid going, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, what? Hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Right now, if you go to Prescott, you see right now over the last probably 10 to 15 years, and currently, we all really, like the magazine says, we all work together. We all support each other. I've lent guys I'm reaching refrigerators. I reach a refrigerator down. You got one? I have one in storage. Come over and grab it. My fryer went down. You got an extra fryer? Your catering kitchen? Yeah, I got one. But there's Ryan and Skylar and Bigga and all these guys and Paul in Prescott. We all actually get along. We all communicate. We talk. We give each other advice, and we'll just meet and have a beer,
Nice.
And I'm really excited about doing that now in Prescott Valley, because that opportunity to meet new people and build new relationships, and we don't have competition, we have colleagues.
Yep.
And that makes things so much different, more palatable.
What
It's
a great
amazing.
way to look at it, because I think our communities need to do the same thing. Right? We have 4 communities that are in this area. We have Prescott Valley, Prescott, Chino Valley, and Dewey Humboldt, and we shouldn't be competing with one another. I mean, there's always that level of they've all got to accomplish what they need to accomplish, but there should be, just like you do with the restaurant industry, there should be reaching across the aisle and helping each other out. If Prescott needs something. And I know like there's certain industries that do it, like our firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Prescott, and then you got CYFD, and I know they have a great relationship where they cross lines, and Prescott Fire will come out to Prescott Valley if CYFD is somewhere else, and they have that relationship. But I just think that's something that as a region we need to keep promoting and sponsoring, this idea of cooperation and that it's okay.
Right.
It makes us stronger if we're all working together, and sure, we can help Prescott out, because when you came here, you landed in Prescott, and now you're moving to Prescott Valley, and you're not giving up Prescott.
I'm not moving
Right?
to Prescott. Thank you very much. I'm not
You're
moving
not-
to Prescott
no,
Valley.
No, but you're
You
expanding
have
to
a bunch
Prescott Valley.
of a bunch of ladies on your front door.
Not moving. He's keeping Prescott, but you're expanding to Prescott Valley.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so neat about this story, is that it just shows we can all cooperate at a better level and provide these experiences for everybody.
Right. We're excited about it. I mean, you've got Marnie Wool over here, please. She's one of my favorite people in the world.
There we
I
go.
love Marnie.
Well, we'll have her in your restaurant.
Okay. I'm sure she will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Barry, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate it. Thank you so much
pleasure.
for coming on.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of you. This is another edition of Living a Good Life. Thank you.